been going to therapy for a while, and before anybody asks, it's not because like a big thing happened. I think we should step away from the idea that you need a big thing to happen to find a therapist. Therapy is actually very cool, and it's super helpful, and I honestly couldn't recommend it enough. One thing I will say though is that therapy isn't this magical fix. You're not going to go to your therapist and they're going to tell you, hey, here's what's wrong, and you're going to go, okay, I'm fixed. It's actually a lot of work, but it's work worth putting in, and I've been learning a lot, and it's been great. Recently in therapy, I kind of discovered something that was pretty important, and I wanted to share it with you guys because I think it's something that might help somebody. I'm not entirely sure, but anyways, here I go. When I first started therapy, it was very awkward. Again, I didn't really have a big thing to talk about. I'm not really sad or like dealing with anything in my brain. I'm just a guy living his life. So obviously the first therapy session I had was kind of awkward. A lot of empty space and awkward staring at each other moments. However, eventually we break the ice and we talk about everything from dad death to first love, etc., etc. And eventually something came out that I've been kind of dealing with for a really long time, but I haven't really had time to think of. It's a very strange and interesting phenomenon in my life that I like to call the fall. It's something that you've probably seen or at least experienced yourself without knowing it, and I want to explain it as best as I can. For one reason or another, I am someone who is based on momentum. I feel like a lot of people share this sentiment. If I worked out yesterday, it's easier to work out today. If I've been eating right for a week, it's easy to eat right for 2 weeks. But the very funny thing about momentum, at least in my life, is that for some reason or another, is it keeps trying to go faster. It almost becomes addicting, seeing how hard I can push myself until one day it stops. And that day is what I call the fall. It materializes differently for a lot of people. I can only speak about my own case, but one day I wake up and there's nothing there. I sit down and I try to write a script and no words come out. I open OBS and I stare at the go live button and I can't bring myself to hit it. And my mind subconsciously makes a shift from trying to find ways to push forward to trying to find excuses to fall back. There's a lot more to it, but this is kind of the gist of it. And so I talked to my therapist about it because honestly, this is something that's been happening to me ever since I became a YouTuber. We talked about it, and I remember strictly saying, I know that I'm going to fall. I almost expect it on the days that I'm doing too well. And all I want to do is decrease the time it takes me to recover when I do fall. And that's when my therapist looked me in the eyes and told me something that kind of stuck. He said, Scooch, you have to ask yourself, do you want to learn how to recover faster when you fall? Or do you want to stop falling in the first place? And I sat there and I thought about it. And honestly, I didn't think it was possible. I mean, I've been falling forever now, and I didn't think that it was possible to just stop falling. But as we kept talking, and as the weeks fell off the calendar, I realized that what I was actually experiencing was something called burnout. I'm sure you've all heard this word before, and I'm pretty sure most of you have experienced it. But it's basically when you work so hard that there's nothing left in the tank. And it's not just something that'll happen with work or school. It can also happen with your passion. It can happen with your love. It can happen with anything. But the one thing that people never tell you is how sneaky burnout is. Burnout isn't something that always materializes consciously. Sometimes it just happens, and you may not notice it. You're sleeping longer, you're working less efficiently. Things are going in one ear and out the other, etc., etc. But I slowly learned that burnout is something that is always going to happen if you don't allow yourself room to breathe. Even if you love what you're doing, or even if you feel like you could just do a little bit more work, you gotta be careful with pushing yourself too hard. Always allow yourself time to actively recover in your day. And I mean this, so lean in, actively, because I just learned this. When I say actively, I don't mean playing League of Legends for 2 hours while pushing back the things that you gotta get done and then worrying about them all night. I mean giving yourself dedicated time where you don't think about your next big move. To breathe or watch anime or a movie, hang out with friends on Discord, without allowing yourself to secretly be consumed by the weight of a task that you're gonna get done anyway. I know this is kind of a weird video, but believe me when I say that I'm in my late 20s and I just learned what active recovery is. And I know that's weird, and even if this video only helps one person, I hope that it helps you. I'm excited to be back. I missed trying to be a daily uploader, but as you all know, I messed up and I burned out. But something I always like to say is you never go back to step one. You go back to step 1 with the knowledge of step 4, so you'll get to step 4 faster this time. I'm excited to try again. I love you. Thanks for watching the video, and I will see you tomorrow.